Back to episode 6 of Nuggets Don't Fly. This is following the very successful Kieran Frawley interview. Lads, it was a pleasure interviewing him, wasn't it?
Yeah, great pleasure. So it was. Hopefully you watched it.
It was indeed. Absolute legend. I had the butterflies before, but he was a gentleman and a great pleasure to interview him indeed.
Yes.
Yeah. So in today's episode, we're just going to be doing our team of the tournaments. We'll start off with our drinks. Graham, what have you got?
So I've actually got something different today. It's a cup of soup. Not sure you can see it. I kind of drank it earlier. But
Is there any left?
There's a wee bit left, but it was very tasty. It was
Okay.
vegetable soup.
And Ollie, what about yourself?
Well, listen, I've got the standard cup of tea, but to spice things up, I've got a scented candle today. So I've got the fumes of bergamot and rosemary burning around the pod room. So that's going to hopefully help the insight.
Very good, Ollie.
Myself, I'm just on the water in a Leicester Tigers mug. They beat Connacht there last week in a great game, but we still fancy Ulster to. Yeah, we still fancy Ulster to win the tournament, don't we, lads?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, we do for sure. Best team in it by miles.
Yeah, back them all the way.
Yeah. So we'll get straight into it then. Our Guinness Six Nations team of the tournament. Graham, we'll start with you. Can you tell us your two props and why you went for them?
Two props are number one was Furlong. I thought, to be honest, for me, I thought he had to be done.
But yeah, he plays tight head, but yeah.
Oh. I wasn't sure what the difference was. Sorry, I'm not a prop man.
Okay. Who was your other prop?
Well, I went for, I don't know if you will agree with this, but Fagerson, the Scottish prop.
Oh dear.
I thought he played quite
Explain
well.
That one.
I think we should move on from that one fairly rapidly now. I think that was a bit of a shit show from start to finish.
Oh.
Yeah, Ollie, what about yourself? Can you give us a saving grace there, props?
I've gone for Wyn Jones at number one, and I agree with Graham for Furlong. Furlong was phenomenal. He probably could play loose head prop, to be fair. We shouldn't doubt the man at all.
Yeah, I got those two as well. I think Wyn Jones was easily the standout prop of the tournament. He well ahead of Furlong. And obviously, yeah, Tag only played a couple of games, but he was very, very impactful in those. So we have agreement then of Wyn Jones and Furlong?
I think so, yeah.
Let's do that, yeah.
Okay. Ollie, who's your hooker?
My hooker is Ken Owens. It was a close call between him and Cowan-Dickie, but Cowan-Dickie didn't really step up the way I thought he would, so I went for Ken Owens.
Okay. I've went a bit different. I went for Marchard. You look at the French line-out. The set piece was very, very good. He made lots of big carries. He was very good in the loose, especially against England. But yeah, I think Ken Owens is definitely one of the other choices there. Graham, who did you settle on?
I settled on Ken Owens. I thought he was the standout hooker for definite. Played every game very well.
Yeah, Ken Owens was exceptional, and we'll probably get into it in a later episode. But do you think he's made that 2 jersey his own for the tour, Ollie?
Definitely not a steal deal, but he's done as much as he can. It's weird though, the Welsh players never really play well for their clubs. They only play well for Wales, really. So when I said Cowan-Dickie a few weeks ago, that was going off club form, but I think you can back the Welsh boys for the Lions because they always seem to step up when it matters the most. So I don't. He hasn't sealed it, but he would be my choice. But I'm not the coach, although I should be.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Yeah.
So we'll put Owens in there, a hooker, completing the front row. Graham, you're a man who's played a bit second row before. Could you tell us who's settling down there in the engine room?
Yeah, cheers for that one, Choppy. The two I'd go for is Byrne, Irishman Byrne. That's his first Six Nations, isn't it? Or
I
second,
believe
maybe?
it was.
Yeah,
I don't think he made his debut this tournament, but it was certainly his full one.
his full one. Yeah, he was definitely. I think he's probably the best second row in Ireland right now. Probably in Europe or in the world as well. Turnover rate is unreal, and tackling and carries is so good as well. Then second, I went for Alan Wynne Jones. I thought he was consistent for
Okay.
every game he played, but wasn't he? There was a lot of competition as well, like Henderson. Itoje, I think, was okay. There's a few Scottish ones as well, Gilchrist, Johnny Gray as well. So it's a hard one.
Ollie, what are your thoughts on that?
I've gone for two different men, but I think Graham makes some very good points. He mentioned Itoje there, and Itoje didn't have his best tournament ever, so maybe I'm picking him slightly off what I know he's capable of doing. But I think in every performance, even when England were pretty terrible at times, he was always their best player. So I think he definitely deserves one of the spots. And the second spot, I've actually gone for Ian Henderson. I think every time he got the ball, he was like a man possessed, and just based off the minutes he got, he was the best second row when he was on the pitch. Most games he played in would have been my opinion. He just didn't play as many games, but I don't think that's the reason to keep him out.
Yeah, I think you are both spot on there. Like it's, I went for one option each, so I went Alan Wynne Jones. You know, Wales won the tournament. We can't discredit that at all. They won the overall thing. We're a couple of points away from a Grand Slam. Alan Wynne Jones fourth in the top successful tackles of the tournament. But then on the other hand, as Graham mentioned it, Tadhg Beirne, 10 turnovers won. Second place, Ian Henderson, 6 turnovers won. So that is probably the most competitive part of the fantasy team, I think. I personally went with Henderson and Alan Wynne Jones, and a fit Beirne in there later on. So who's going to make our Nuggets team? How are we going to do this?
Well, you've kind of picked it nicely there. You've picked one of each, so I'm happy enough to go with that. I wasn't expecting Henderson to be a popular choice, so I'm just happy to get him in there.
Yeah,
we agree on Henderson and Alan Wynne.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
What were you going to say there, Graham?
Yeah, Henderson was a hard choice for me as well. I was going to put in Henderson over Wynne Jones, so yeah.
Speaking about Alan Wynne, actually, I got told this week, lads, that my hair looks like Alan Wynne's hair. It's a nice compliment to receive. I mean, dirty, but it's still a nice compliment, and I have to agree.
Yeah.
Is it a compliment, do you think? I'm taking it as a compliment. I mean, if I was it will call it a 50-50.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Graham, you're number 6.
I went for 2 7s at the flankers.
Okay.
Is that bad?
Yeah, tell us your flankers then.
Well, I went for Olivon. I thought he was class for France. I thought he was very good. Just everything he did, he was consistent once again. Went for Hamish Watson at 7, which I feel like he kind of had to win it. I think he was the best 7 of the tournament. Tackling and carries were so good as well. He was so entertaining to watch. Like, you'd watch Scotland for Hamish Watson.
Yeah. You mentioned Oliver there. I want to talk about him briefly. He was up. He won 4 turnovers, which was actually put him in top half of, or the top tier of turnovers. Hamish Watson had 4 as well, so they're similar in that sense. In terms of successful tackles, Oliver came second, just behind Tipperick. And then in terms of carries, Hamish Watson 67, only beaten by CJ. And lineouts 1, Oliver was miles ahead in the league of his own. So we'll talk about that 7 jersey first, Ollie. Who did you go for?
I agreed with Graham, and I went for Watson as well. Oliver or Tipperick would have been my second and third, but I think Watson offers the most, because it's one thing having a lot of carries, but Watson always goes forward on his carries. It's unbelievable how many people he bounces. He's like he's I don't know. He's absolutely incredible at carrying. Obviously, lineouts, Oliver or Watson doesn't jump, so obviously it's a great stuff for Oliver, but it doesn't really reflect badly, I don't think. And yeah, I think Watson offers a bit more than Oliver, and he'd be my pick for the jersey.
Yeah, fair enough. I did just pick Oliver ahead of Watson, but obviously Watson won team of the tournament, so can't really argue with giving him the 7. And Graham, who was your 6?
Oliver.
Okay.
I had the 2 7s in a flanker.
Yeah, this is certainly some team you've got going on here. People bet on position. Ollie, save us here. Who did you go for blindside?
Graham get Oliver in, but I think by the sounds of things you're going to agree with me, Chappie, and Tadhg Beirne is going to be our number 6.
Yeah, 100%. We touched on him briefly. He was unbelievable. He probably would have, bias aside, he would have taken my vote for player of the tournament. I don't know if he's agreed.
I think he was up there, yeah.
Yeah, I would have put him ahead of Watson, to be honest. I know we're going to get into it later, but Watson wouldn't have been my single best player. But no, Tadhg Beirne was phenomenal. The amount of turnovers he gets is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I think Watson shouldn't have won it, but I think Beirne was ahead of Watson.
Yeah, I love having Beirne at 6 and having your Henderson and Ryan, just from an Irish perspective, get those 3 all on the park at the same time. I think that's why we did so well in the lineouts as well.
Definitely, yeah. And it's not really a stat, but you look at players calling the lineout. You've got Oliver for France, and you've got Henderson for Ireland. Ireland's set piece was phenomenal, lads, wasn't it? It was so much better, and Henderson did have a big part to play in that. So that's why we do want to try fit as many of those big lads in as we can.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 6 and 7 sorted. Number 8, we talked a bit off camera about this briefly. Graham, who did you settle on?
Well, it was between Faletau and Aldrit, whatever his name is, or it's a good wee name though. But I went for Aldrit, the French youth.
Yeah,
he was powerful runner.
Ollie, who did you settle on?
I had the same 50-50, but I went for Faletau. Graham loves the French boys anyway, but I think Faletau was slightly better than. I don't even know why I'm picking him over Aldrit. They're both brilliant, but I've gone for Faletau.
Yeah, so in terms of total meters made across the tournament, what do you think the difference was between the 2 players?
A few meters?
I'll let Graham go first there.
Was it? I don't know, probably a few meters, maybe, but there'd be high numbers though.
Yeah, very high numbers.
Let me guess, 5 meters.
Ollie?
I'm gonna back my boy, and I'll say Faletau made 30 more meters.
Aldrit made a single more meter, 368 to 369.
Jeez.
Very, very similar.
Yeah.
But in terms of total carries, Faletau made 2 more, so there's absolutely nothing in it.
Yeah. 2-1 really. It's
You look at the only stat that I can see that separates the two is successful tackles. Who do you think is top in that?
Faletau.
Yeah, Faletau, yeah.
Yeah, Faletau is quite significantly clear with Aldrich. So, based on these reasons alone, plus the fact that Wales won, I think we give him the 8 jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Faletau offers slightly more in terms of hands, like more of tip-on options, and whereas Aldrich sort of just carries it every time he gets it. I think Faletau's a better ball player.
Yeah, special mention to CJ as well. I thought he had a decent tournament, but other players did just have better tournament, didn't they, lads?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Right. We'll breeze past this next one here. Number 9, Graham. Why did you not pick DuPont?
I actually chose DuPont.
Wait. Oh. Okay. Ollie. Chill me out here. Just tell me
it's gonna be Graham, but I've gone for DuPont. Absolutely, yeah.
Lovely.
Definitely stand out.
Number 10. I think this is probably the most contested position, maybe up there with second row.
This is a spicy one for sure.
you.
I've gone for Jalibert at 10. I think he was maybe not the most. He doesn't control the game the best, but maybe he was the reason France maybe slipped away a few times. But I think in terms of attack, he's definitely the best 10 in that competition. The most exciting to watch. The stats say he made the most events, solid off the tee, and I think it's nice to get a 9 and 10 from the same team in there. A good little partnership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Graham, who did you go for?
Yeah, I was a toss-up between actually Jalibert and Sexton, just because Sexton I thought was quite consistent. He scored, I think, was he the top scorer actually of the tournament?
He was, yeah, he was the top point scorer.
I think he was definitely
most penalties, second most conversions.
Yeah.
Didn't have that many try assists, to be honest, but overall he got 15 points clear of second place.
Yeah, kicking I think is probably one of the most important parts of the game for definite. I ended up going for Sexton. It might be a controversial decision there for him, but I thought he played quite well at the same time.
Yeah, I settled on Sexton eventually. Jalibert was a good choice, but my second choice would probably have been bigger. I thought he had an absolutely exceptional tournament, and so did Sexton. But I think those were two players that maybe weren't in talks for starting Lions. But after their tournament, you look at the way they performed and their game management as well.
Yeah.
Sexton played a lot of minutes during this tournament for the oldest player. A lot of points. Game management was good, and the kicking strategy as well that we've talked about in previous episodes. Sexton was pretty key to that, as was Gibson Park. And Sexton had a very good tournament overall, I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
So, who are we giving the 10 jersey to?
Well, it's 2v1. You do make a good case for Sexton. So we'll go Johnny. So at the start of the tournament, didn't want to see Sexton playing, but to be honest, I can't really argue that he's the best 10 in Ireland at the moment. So I think that says how good a tournament he had. So I'm definitely happy enough to have him in there.
Yeah,
brilliant. I think we'll go on to our two centres next. This, I'd say, one is pretty nailed on, lads. We've all got Henshaw, haven't we?
Yeah. Aye.
We do indeed.
Surely.
We've got Henshaw in there, so we'll talk about that other jersey. Ollie, do you want to start? Yes, we're all in agreement to that 12 jersey with Henshaw. 13, there's probably a few options there, Ollie. Who did you go with at the end?
For the third time, my choice is George North, lad.
Do you want
Yeah,
to explain why, Ollie?
I don't think I have the Wi-Fi capabilities to go off on another rant, boys. So George North will do it.
Yeah, Graham, do you want to talk for Ollie there then?
Yeah, I'll try get all these points up here. So, well, you saw going into the the Ireland match at the very start. I thought we were gonna be in for a win. Seeing George North for 13 because I thought it wasn't his usual position. And then he was probably the match changer, I'd say, for that game. He played brilliantly. And throughout the tournament, he's been so good as well. He scored the tries. And it's hard to actually get a 13 who's scoring tries these days, if you think about it. And the powerful runner as well. Gary Ringrose he was played well, but he didn't really score that many tries. Same with Slade.
Yeah, with Slade, sorry, Graham.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ringrose didn't have the best tournament overall. I think he just got lucky just the way that Ireland play. North was definitely the standout 10, as Ollie said. And I was exactly the same as Ollie, to be honest. I thought he'd have a really poor tournament. It was make or break for him at 13. And yeah, he did very well. I don't know if he'd be my starting 13 for the Lions, because he's still relatively inexperienced, but overall he had a very strong tournament at 13, so we're all in agreement there with North.
Yeah, definitely. I think he was definitely man of the match, or man of the tournament, 13.
Okay, Graham, do you want to tell me your two wingers then, please?
Yep. So I thought this was quite an obvious decision at 11, but Rhys Sammet, I think he was definitely up there. And I think 14, I think this was quite an obvious decision as well. Van der Merwe. I think they're definitely the two. For me,
that one.
Well, Van der Merwe, I thought he played really well. His attacking was class. I thought every time he had the ball, he did something with it. Especially against big teams, even against England, against France, Ireland. Even he played very well. I just thought he was consistent every game. I think he'd be a starting Lion as well.
Really?
Yeah, I think he was very good. He's one of my favorite players of the tournament. Yeah.
Yeah. He's definitely very entertaining to watch, isn't he? Like the size and speed of him.
Yeah.
You can see the game's heading in that direction. Yeah, he did finish top try scorer, but Rhys Sammet was only one behind, so was Anthony Watson.
Yeah.
And I give Anthony Watson the nod ahead of him. As Ollie explained previously with the 2G, the importance of big players in a team that's maybe not doing that well. So maybe Watson for Scotland, maybe a 2G for England, maybe Watson for England as well, to be honest. I thought, especially against France, he was electric. Against Italy, he was superb. And wingers, that position that you can only do so much, I think. It's up to the rest of the team to kind of give you that platform to finish tries like Rhys Sammet did. But I thought Watson was superb, and I think he's nailed on that winger jersey, Ollie.
I don't know. I didn't get to hear your entire argument, but I don't agree with Watson now, I have to say. I heard Graham say Rhys Sammet, and he would be nailed on for me. And was the other one Van der Merwe?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were my two men as well. I think the stats speak for themselves, tries and assists and meters and all the rest. And Watson had a very good game against Italy, but apart from that, or was it France? But apart from that, I don't think he did an awful lot.
Yeah, it was both.
Yeah, that's just two teams.
Well, fair. Well, he had 2 good games out of 4, but these other 2 men had 4 good games out of 4, so they're my picks anyway.
I agree with Ollie.
Oh, I feel bad for Watson there, because I think he's really nailed on to be a starting Lion now. I really do. I think he is.
I think I would trust him more at a Lion, because I think he's more experienced as well. and he probably would play better. Yeah. So who
I do
instead
agree there,
Dubster?
but I agree he's probably more likely a starting lion, but based just off the Six Nations, I think the other two were better than him in this tournament.
Yeah, fair enough. So the two wingers then will be Louis Rees-Zammit and Duhan van der Merwe. We'll wrap this up pretty quickly. Fullback, I've went Hoggy.
Hoggy.
Enough said. I think.
Yeah. I think Ollie's will agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even need to say anything. Hoggy is the man.
Standing shock.
Okay. We will give some honourable mentions here in terms of some of the stats that I've got up in front of me. So topping the lineouts one was Charles Ollivon. Top offloads was Antoine Dupont. Top turnovers one was Tadhg Beirne. Total successful tackles was Justin Tipuric, who we haven't mentioned yet, and had an absolutely phenomenal tournament. Meters made, Brice Dulin at fullback. Total carries, CJ Stander. Passes made, Ali Price, who was probably the most improved player of the tournament. Penalty goals, Johnny Sexton. Conversions, Mathieu Jalibert. Try assists, Antoine Dupont. Tries, Duhan with 5. And top point score was Johnny Sexton with 65. Lads, we'll touch briefly here on player of the championship. Graham, your man living in Scotland. An Englishman won it playing for Scotland. Do you think that was well deserved?
Yeah, I think it was deserved, but I think I'm not sure. I think maybe it was deserved, but I don't think he was my man of the tournament. I think it was Beirne. I think Beirne had a better tournament.
Ollie, could you add to that wisdom there?
I agree. I think Watson was incredible. But Beirne, Rees-Zammit, Watson would be my top 3. That's it like that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's much more needs to be said in that. I think it was a very competitive tournament overall. You've seen that from the results where there's less than four 3 points in it most matches. And overall, lads, we've just got to say it was an incredible tournament. It's the best Six Nations that I've seen to date in terms of entertainment and standard of rugby. It was so competitive and so enjoyable to watch. I think that's everything then on the pod, unless I've forgotten something.
I think that's you've covered everything, Chappie. Yeah, that was good presenting.
Lovely.
Yeah,
so
everything covered.
Thank you very much, Ollie, for joining us.
Cheers, Chappie. I was in and out, but sure, I'm always committed to the pod. So
yeah, thank you very much, Graham the Maverick Crawford.
Yeah, that's all right, Chappie. Just in a day's work.
Yeah, there'll be no Graham's Yard or Ollie's Corner today. This is just a quick episode, and we'll probably get on it next week, maybe talking about Ulster and their European hopes. Hopefully they'll still be cutting about there. But that's all for this episode, and we'll hopefully see you next week. Thanks for listening.